Humanity. They are asking to negotiate directly with us, bypassing the Council entirely. The shock on alien faces was obvious. The hegemony, which had been the Council's greatest enemy for decades, was now seeking peace with the species the Council had considered weak. Furthermore, President Murphy continued, we have received similar requests from 12 neutral species who want defensive alliances with humanity. They no longer trust the Council to protect them. Ambassador Zektar stood up angrily. This is unacceptable. All diplomatic relations must go through proper Council channels. Why? President Murphy asked. You made it clear that human territories are not worth defending. If the Council will not protect us, we will protect ourselves. If other species want our protection instead of yours, that is their choice to make. Captain Ellen Murphy entered the Assembly Hall with news that changed everything. Mr. President, I have reports from across the galaxy. 17 more species have requested defensive pacts with humanity. They are offering trade agreements and technology exchanges that bypass Council oversight. The political implications were staggering. The Council's authority depended on controlling diplomatic and trade relationships between species. If humanity began forming direct alliances, the entire system would change. The Prime Administrator spoke with obvious concern. President Murphy, surely we can reach an agreement that works within existing structures. The Council is prepared to offer humanity improved status and additional privileges. What kind of improved status? President Murphy asked. Senior member status, with voting rights on important decisions and access to restricted technology databases. President Murphy looked around at his delegation, then back at the Council leadership. You offer us privileges that should have been ours from the beginning. You want to give us access to technology that is already inferior to what we have. Developed ourselves. Then what do you want? The Prime Administrator asked. Equality. President Murphy said simply. Not privileges granted by your approval, but recognition of what we have already proven. We want to be treated as the advanced species we have become, not the primitive species you remember from 50 years ago. Dr. Stevens stepped forward with technical displays. If the Council doubts our advancement, perhaps he would like to see what we have developed. Our quantum drive systems are 50 times faster than your best ships. Our adaptive AI can solve problems your computers cannot understand. Our weapons technology makes your defenses obsolete. But most importantly, Admiral Ross added, our tactical thinking is unlike anything you have faced. We do not follow your rules about what is possible in warfare. That is why we defeated the hegemony so easily. The assembly was quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity had not just developed better technology. They had developed a completely different approach to solving problems. Captain Jake Morrison, who had been invited to represent the frontline forces, spoke for the first time. For 50 years, humanity tried to earn respect by following your rules and helping solve your problems. But respect that must be earned over and over again is not really respect at all. Now we have proven our capabilities in the only way you truly understand, Jake continued, through strength. The question is whether the Council can accept humanity as equals, or whether you will continue to cling to old assumptions that are no longer true. The Prime Administrator conferred quietly with other Council leaders before responding. The Council recognizes that circumstances have changed. We are prepared to offer humanity full senior member status with all associated rights and responsibilities. President Murphy nodded slowly. We accept, but with conditions. Human space will be administered by humans, not by Council bureaucrats. Our defensive agreements with other species will be honored, and any species that wishes to ally with humanity directly may do so without Council interference. Those conditions change the fundamental structure of Council authority, Ambassador. Zektar protested. Yes, they do, President Murphy agreed. The galaxy has changed, Ambassador. Humanity is no longer asking for permission to exist as equals. We are informing you that we already are equals, and you can either accept that fact or be left behind. The vote was close, but the Council approved humanity's new status. Several species abstained, clearly unhappy with the changes, but afraid to oppose the species that had just revolutionized galactic warfare. As the session ended, President Murphy walked back to his ship with satisfaction. Humanity had finally claimed its rightful place among the great civilizations of the galaxy. Captain Ellen Murphy met him at the docking bay. Father, we are receiving congratulations from across human space. Every colony is celebrating. And they should, President Murphy replied. Today, humanity grew up. We stopped asking for approval and started demanding respect. Admiral Ross joined them with final reports. Mr. President, the Hegemony Peace Delegation will arrive next week. 7 more species have requested defense agreements. And our shipyards report they can build 100 new vessels per month. President Murphy looked out at the stars through the station's massive windows. Somewhere out there, human children were looking up at the same stars, knowing that their species had finally claimed its place among the greatest civilizations in the galaxy. The Council had forgotten that humans become most dangerous when they are underestimated and pushed too far. They had learned that lesson at the cost of their monopoly on galactic power. But more importantly, humanity had learned that respect is not something to be given by others. It is something to be taken by those strong enough and determined enough to claim it. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. Get me President Murphy immediately. Zektar ordered his aide. When President Murphy appeared on the communication screen, Zektar tried to maintain his usual superior attitude. President Murphy, the Council demands an explanation for these new weapons. Where did humans acquire such advanced technology? President Murphy smiled. We did not acquire anything, Ambassador. We developed it ourselves over the past 20 years, while you were telling us we were too primitive for important responsibilities. That is impossible, Zektar said. Human technology is centuries behind Council standards. Was, President Murphy corrected. Human technology was behind Council standards. But we never stopped learning and improving while you assumed we would stay weak forever. On Haven Colony, Governor Martinez stood in his command center and watched hegemony ships limping away from his world. The attack that should have destroyed his planet had lasted less than an hour and ended in complete human victory. Governor, we are receiving messages from 17 different star systems, his communications officer reported. They are all asking if humanity can provide protection from the hegemony. Governor Martinez smiled. For years, human colonies had asked the Council for protection and been told they were not important enough. Now other species were asking humans for the same help. Captain Jake Morrison docked his ship at Haven Colony's orbital station and was greeted as a hero. The colonists cheered as he walked through the station, but Jake knew this victory was just the beginning. Captain, Navigator Helen Davis said quietly, I am detecting Council ships approaching. A full diplomatic fleet. Jake nodded. The Council had ignored human requests for help, but now that humanity had demonstrated their true capabilities, suddenly the aliens were interested in talking. Let them come, Jake said. It is time for some honest conversations about humanity's place in the galaxy. Captain Ellen Murphy received similar messages as her fleet regrouped near Haven Colony. Council species that had dismissed human capabilities for decades were now demanding meetings and explanations. Captain, what should we tell them? Her communications officer asked. Ellen looked at her ships, vessels that represented the best of human engineering and innovation. For too long, humans had asked for respect from species that would never give it freely. Tell them we will talk when we are ready, Ellen replied. But this time, we talk as equals, not as supplicants asking for favors. The hegemony fleet retreated to their own space, carrying news that would change everything. The species that had been considered an easy target had just revealed military technology that surpassed anything in known space. More importantly, dozens of neutral species began reaching out to humanity directly, bypassing the Council entirely. The political balance of the galaxy had shifted in a single day. President Murphy sat in his office on Earth, reading reports from across human space. Every human colony was celebrating, and every Council species was demanding answers. Mr. President, Secretary of Defense Lisa Morgan said, the Council is requesting an emergency meeting. They want to discuss humanity's new status in galactic affairs. President Murphy laughed. After 50 years of dismissing us, now they want to discuss our status. How convenient. What should we tell them? Tell them we will attend their meeting, President Murphy said. But this time, we attend as equals who have proven their worth, not as children asking for approval. The galaxy had just learned that humans were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The Council forgot that humans become most creative and powerful when they are pushed into a corner. That lesson would not need to be repeated. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began with silence. For the first time in 50 years, humanity had been invited to attend as full participants rather than junior observers. President Frank Murphy walked into the great assembly hall aboard his new flagship, the Earth's Pride. The ship itself made a statement that no Council member could ignore. Every alien vessel at the station looked primitive compared to the sleek human craft. Ambassador Ziktar of the Vrex Empire tried to maintain his usual commanding presence, but his voice shook slightly as he spoke. President Murphy, the Council requires an explanation for your recent actions. Where did humanity acquire such advanced military technology? President Murphy took his place at the speaker's podium and looked around at the assembled alien delegates. These were the same beings who had dismissed human requests and treated his people as second-class citizens. Ambassador Ziktar, we did not acquire this technology. We developed it ourselves while you were busy telling us we were too primitive to deserve equal treatment. A murmur of disbelief ran through the assembly. The Altarian delegate stood up. That is impossible. Human technology was centuries behind our own. Admiral Kevin Ross stepped forward with a data tablet in his hands. With respect, you are wrong. Human technology was behind yours 20 years ago. Since then, we have been developing capabilities that your scientists said were impossible. But how? The Catherine representative demanded. Your people had access to the same information as every Council species. Dr. Carl Stevens smiled as he answered. That is exactly the problem. You all had access to the same information, so you all developed the same solutions. Humans asked different questions and found different answers. Senator Lisa Morgan activated a holographic display that showed the timeline of human development. For 20 years, we requested equal treatment from the Council. For 20 years, you told us we were not ready. During those same 20 years, we were developing technology that makes your most advanced systems look like toys. Ambassador Ziktar tried to regain control of the situation. The Council has always been fair to humanity. We provided protection and guidance according to established. Protection? Protection? President Murphy laughed. When the hegemony threatened our worlds, you told us to relocate to less strategic systems. You abandoned us to fight alone against an enemy that you were afraid to face. The hegemony representative, who had been allowed to attend under safe passage, spoke from his designated area. The Council told us that human space was not worth defending. They said your species was expendable. A shocked silence fell over the assembly. Several Council species looked embarrassed as the truth came out. Is this true? President Murphy asked, looking directly at the Council leadership. The head of the council, an ancient being called the Prime Administrator, finally spoke. The council must make difficult decisions about resource allocation. Human territories were considered less critical than core systems. Less critical, President Murphy repeated. You mean less important because we are human. Dr. Amanda Price stood up from the human delegation. Mr. President, perhaps the council would like to hear about the 3 major crises that humans solved for them in the past 2 years. Please proceed, Dr. Price. President Murphy said. Dr. Price activated another display. The Nebula Crisis. Council scientists spent 6 months trying to restore power to 3-star systems. Human engineers solved the problem in 2 days. The Catherine food shortage. Council experts said the problem was impossible to fix. Humans developed a solution in 3 weeks. The Altarian plague. Council medical teams tried for a year to find a cure. Human doctors found one in 10 days. In each case, Dr. Price continued, the council benefited from human innovation while continuing to treat us as inferior. You took our help while denying us equal status. The Altarian delegate looked uncomfortable. Those solutions were too simple to be truly advanced. Real science requires complexity. Admiral Ross stepped forward again. That attitude is exactly why you could not solve those problems yourselves. You assume that complex problems require complex solutions. Humans understand that the best solutions are often the simplest ones. The assembly erupted in arguments between different species. Some defended the council's treatment of humanity, while others began to question their own assumptions about human capabilities. President Murphy raised his hand for silence. The debate about the past is less important than the decisions we make going forward. At that moment, an aide rushed to President Murphy with an urgent message. He read it and smiled before sharing the news with the assembly. I have just received word that the hegemony has formally requested a peace treaty. W. The hegemony fleet arrived at Haven Colony like a dark storm. 200 warships dropped out of hyperspace and began moving toward the peaceful agricultural world. Admiral Krex stood on his flagship and smiled as he looked at the planet below. Begin the attack, he ordered. Destroy their orbital stations first, then target the population centers. On Haven Colony, warning sirens screamed across every city and town. Governor Paul Martinez coordinated the evacuation from his command center while watching enemy ships approach on his screens. How long until help arrives? His aide asked. The council said they would send a protest message to the hegemony, Governor. Martinez replied bitterly, as for real help, we are on our own. But Governor Martinez was wrong. Help was already on the way, and it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Jake Morrison sat on the bridge of the New Horizon and watched his tactical display. The hegemony fleet looked impressive, but Jake now commanded a ship. That made their technology seem ancient. All systems show green, Captain, Navigator Helen Davis reported. The new quantum drives are working perfectly. Lieutenant Sam Parker looked excited as he studied the enemy formation. Captain, there? Ships are using standard battle tactics. They have no idea what they are about to face. Good, Jake replied. Ryan, bring us out of stealth right in the middle of their fleet. Commander Ryan Bell pressed controls that activated technology the hegemony could not detect or understand. The New Horizon appeared from nowhere, directly between the enemy flagship and the planet. Admiral Krex stared at his screens in confusion. Where did that ship come from? Unknown, Admiral, his sensor officer replied. It just appeared. Our sensors show it is only one human vessel. Admiral Krex laughed. One ship against our entire fleet? These humans are even more foolish than we thought. Destroy it immediately. 50 hegemony ships turned their weapons toward the New Horizon. They fired enough energy to destroy a small moon. But when the light faded, The human ship was still, bare, completely undamaged. Impossible. Admiral Krex whispered. Jake Morrison opened a communication channel to the entire enemy fleet. This is Captain Morrison of the human vessel New Horizon. You have entered our space without permission and threatened our people. Leave now, or face the consequences. Admiral Krex replied with anger in his voice. One small ship threatens our entire fleet? Human, you will learn why the galaxy fears the hegemony. No, Jake said calmly. You will learn why they should have feared humanity. What happened next shocked every being who witnessed it. The New Horizon moved with speed that seemed impossible. It jumped instantly from place to place, appearing and disappearing faster than the enemy could track. The human ship's weapons cut through hegemony shields like they were made of paper. Each shot disabled or destroyed an enemy vessel. The hegemony fleet tried to respond, but their weapons could not even touch the New Horizon. In 7 minutes, Jake Morrison destroyed or disabled 30 enemy ships without taking any damage. The remaining hegemony vessels began to retreat in panic. This is impossible, Admiral Krex repeated. Our intelligence said humans use standard council technology. Your intelligence was wrong, Jake replied. You wanted to see what humans are capable of, now you know. But the real demonstration was just beginning. Captain Ellen Murphy's Special Operations Fleet arrived at Haven Colony. Just as the hegemony began their retreat, Ellen's 12 ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Unlike the New Horizon, which looked like a normal human vessel, these ships were clearly designed for war. Their black hulls and angular shapes made them look like death incarnate. Hegemony Fleet, this is Captain Murphy of the Earth's Sword, Ellen announced. You have attacked our people and threatened our world. Surrender now, or be destroyed. Admiral Krex looked at the 12 new ships and felt fear for the first time in his career. These vessels radiated power and menace, unlike anything he had ever seen. 12 ships cannot defeat what remains of our fleet, Admiral Krex said, but his voice shook as he spoke. Ellen Murphy smiled coldly. You are about to learn that you need to count differently when facing human ships. The battle that followed lasted exactly 7 minutes and became known throughout the galaxy as the Haven demonstration. Ellen's 12 ships moved like dancers, each one coordinating perfectly with the others. The human vessels used tactics that broke every rule of space warfare. They jumped through enemy formations, appeared behind ships that thought they were safe, and fired weapons that adapted to whatever they hit. The hegemony's massive flagship, a dreadnought that had been considered invincible, found itself surrounded by 3 human ships. Admiral Krex watched in horror as his supposedly impenetrable shields failed against weapons that seemed to learn and adapt with each shot. All systems failing, his engineer reported. Their weapons are unlike anything in our databases. Impossible, Admiral Krex said again, but the word was starting to lose all meaning. The Earth's Sword moved alongside the hegemony, flagship with grace that defied physics. Ellen Murphy opened a direct channel to Admiral Krex. Admiral, your ship is now defenseless. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields, and our weapons can destroy you whenever we choose. Do you surrender? Admiral Krex looked around his bridge at failing systems and terrified crew members. His entire fleet was being destroyed by 12 human ships that moved like nothing he had ever imagined. I surrender, he said quietly. All hegemony ships, this is Captain Murphy. Your admiral has surrendered. Power down your weapons and prepare to leave our space immediately. The surviving hegemony vessels, less than half of their original fleet, began shutting down their weapons. They had come to Haven Colony, expecting an easy victory over weak humans. Instead, they had been defeated by technology that seemed like magic. Word of the battle spread across the galaxy within hours. Every council species received reports of the impossible human victory. The messages were all the same. Humans had revealed technology that was decades ahead of anything previously known. Ambassador Ziktar of the Vrex Empire sat in his office reading battle reports with growing alarm. The humans had just defeated the most powerful military force outside of Council space using ships and weapons that should not exist. Dr. Carl Stevens walked into the main assembly hall of Project Deep Well with President Murphy and Admiral Ross beside him. What they saw made them stop and stare in amazement. The hall was the size of 10 football fields. Inside were machines and weapons that looked like they came from a science fiction movie. Hundreds of scientists and engineers worked on projects that would change warfare forever. "How long have you been working on this?" President Murphy asked. 22 years, Dr. Stevens replied. "We started 3 years after joining the council. Some of us believed that being nice to aliens would not be enough to keep humanity safe." Admiral Ross walked over to examine a strange-looking weapon. "What does this do?" Dr. Michelle Torres appeared beside them. "That weapon can cut through any shield technology the Council uses. It fires energy that adapts to whatever it hits. The more the enemy tries to defend, the stronger it becomes." President Murphy shook his head in disbelief. "And the Council has no idea this exists?" "None at all," Dr. Stevens said. "They think humans are still using the basic technology they gave us 50 years ago. They have no idea we improved everything and invented completely new systems." In another part of the facility, Captain Ellen Murphy worked with Chief Engineer Bobby Clark to prepare the new fleet. Ellen was the president's daughter, but she had earned her rank through skill and courage, not family connections. "Bobby, how long until the ships are ready?" Ellen asked. Bobby wiped grease from his hands and grinned. "The first 12 ships will be ready in 3 days. After that, we can finish 2 more ships every day." Ellen looked at the vessels taking shape around them. These ships looked nothing like the elegant curves of council designs. They were built for function, not beauty. Every line and surface was designed for maximum efficiency in combat. "They look scary," Ellen said. "They should," Bobby replied. "These ships are designed to terrify the enemy before the fighting even starts. Wait until you see what they can do." Back on the New Horizon, Captain Jake Morrison received new orders from Admiral Ross. His crew gathered on the bridge to hear their new mission. "We are being transferred to Special Operations," Jake announced. "Our ship will be upgraded with new technology, and we will serve as advanced scouts for the main fleet." Lisa Carter looked excited. "What kind of technology?" "The kind that will make council ships look like toys," Jake replied. "We are going to test new systems in real combat conditions." Commander Ryan Bell pulled up star charts. "Where are we going?" "First, to Titan Station for upgrades. Then to patrol the border systems where the hegemony is gathering their forces." Meanwhile, the hegemony threat was growing stronger every day. Their fleets had destroyed a council research station in neutral space. When the council protested, the hegemony told them to mind their own business. The council's response was to increase patrols in their core systems while abandoning the border regions where humans lived. Several council species began moving their assets away from potential battle zones. Dr. Amanda Price made a discovery that shocked everyone. She had been studying council records when she found files that were supposed to be secret. "Senator Lisa, Morgan needs to see this immediately," Amanda told her assistant. An hour later, Senator Morgan sat in her office reading the files with growing anger. Amanda sat across from her, waiting for a reaction. "This is unbelievable," Senator Morgan said finally. "The council has been sabotaging us from the beginning." "The evidence is all there," Amanda replied. "Every time humans applied for advanced status, the same species voted against us. Every time we requested better technology, They delayed or denied our requests. They have been keeping us weak on purpose. Senator Morgan studied the documents more carefully. Look at this. The Vrex Empire, the Kethrin Trade Union, and the Altarian Republic have been working together. They have a secret agreement to limit human expansion. But why? Amanda asked. We have been nothing but helpful to them. Because they are afraid of us, Senator Morgan said. These files show that their own scientists believe humans will surpass their technology within a generation. They have been trying to prevent that by keeping us dependent on them. On Titan, the largest moon of Saturn, massive factories work day and night to build humanity's new fleet. Tony Rivera supervised the main production line where new warships took shape. These ships were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They combined human creativity with technology that was decades ahead of anything the Council possessed. Each ship was designed to operate independently, adapting to any situation. How many ships can we build? Admiral Ross asked during his inspection visit. As many as you need, Tony replied. We have been preparing for this moment for years. We can build 100 ships in the next month, if necessary. Admiral Ross watched workers install weapons that could destroy planets and shields that could stop any known weapon. The hegemony has no idea what is coming for them. Neither does the Council, Tony said with a smile. The hegemony continued to gather their forces near human space. Their intelligence reports told them that humans had weak ships protected by an uncaring Council. They expected an easy victory. Hegemony Admiral Krex studied the reports from his scout ships. 3 of his vessels had encountered a human ship and been defeated, but he assumed the humans had been lucky or received help from Council forces. How many human ships protect their border? Admiral Krex asked his intelligence officer. Perhaps 50 vessels, Admiral, all using standard Council technology. They will not be able to stop our main fleet. Admiral Krex nodded. The hegemony had 200 ships ready for battle. Even if the Council decided to help the humans, the outcome was certain. Begin the final preparations, Admiral Krex ordered. In 1 week, we attack Haven Colony. After we destroy their agricultural world, the humans will surrender or flee. But Admiral Krex did not know that human listening posts had been monitoring hegemony communications for months. Colonel Danny Wright sat in intelligence headquarters on Earth, reading every message the enemy sent. Admiral Ross, I have the hegemony battle plan, Colonel Wright reported. They will attack Haven Colony in 7 days with their full fleet. Perfect, Admiral Ross replied. That gives us exactly enough time to finish our preparations. Captain Jake Morrison arrived at Titan Station to see his ship being transformed. The New Horizon looked the same on the outside, but Chief Engineer Bobby Clark showed him the amazing changes inside. We installed quantum jump drives, adaptive AI systems, and weapons that use zero-point energy, Bobby explained. Your ship can now outrun, outthink, and outfight anything in the galaxy. Jake walked through his upgraded vessel with wonder. Every system had been improved or replaced. His ship could now do things that broke the laws of physics, as the Council understood them. How is this possible? Jake asked. Human scientists do not follow Council rules about what is possible, Bobby replied. We ask different questions and find different answers. As the deadline approached, humanity's leaders made final preparations. President Murphy signed orders that would reveal 20 years of secret development. Admiral Ross positioned fleets that could defeat any enemy. Dr. Stevens activated weapons that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The Galactic Council remained unaware of what was happening. They continued to treat humans as junior partners while assuming the hegemony threat would be easily contained. Ambassador Zektar of the Vrex Empire sent another message to President Murphy. It suggested that humans consider moving to safer systems rather than fighting a battle they could not win. President Murphy read the message and laughed. Ambassador Zektar, you are about to learn something about humans that your intelligence files never told you. Captain Ellen Murphy took command of the Special Operations Fleet from her flagship, the Earth Sword. Her 12 ships represented the most advanced technology humans had ever created. All ships report ready, her communications officer announced. Set course for Haven Colony, Ellen ordered. Maximum stealth. It is time to give the hegemony a lesson in human warfare. As her fleet jumped to hyperspace, using drives that moved faster than anything in council space, Ellen smiled. The hegemony expected to attack a weak human colony defended by outdated ships. Instead, they would face the full power of human innovation, unleashed after decades of being underestimated and dismissed. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were far more dangerous when they stopped asking for permission and started taking action. Admiral Kevin Ross sat in the war room at Luna Station and looked at the faces around the table. These were the leaders of humanity's military forces. Today they would make decisions that could change everything. General Patricia Hayes spoke first. She was tough and direct, never wasting words. Admiral, we have been too nice to the Council for too long. They treat us like pets, who sometimes do clever tricks. Colonel Danny Wright nodded and opened his files. He ran intelligence operations across human space. General Hayes is right. I have proof that several Council species have been working against us. They block our trade deals. They spread rumors that we are dangerous. They want to keep us weak. Admiral Ross studied the reports. The evidence was clear. While humans had been trying to be good partners, some aliens had been sabotaging them, behind their backs. Show me the worst examples, Admiral Ross said. Colonel Wright pulled up documents on the main screen. The Vrex Empire has been telling other species that humans are too aggressive for important responsibilities. The Kethran Trade Union has been blocking our access to rare materials we need for shipbuilding. The Altarian Republic has been spreading stories that human technology is unstable and dangerous. General Hayes slammed her hand on the table. While we were helping these same species solve their problems. On Mars, Dr. Carl Stevens walked through the secret laboratories of Project Deep Well. This facility had been hidden from the Council for 20 years. Here, human scientists had been developing technologies that would shock the galaxy. Dr. Michelle Torres met him at the main laboratory door. She looked worried. Dr. Stevens, are we really going to reveal what we have been working on? The Council will be very angry. Dr. Stevens smiled. The Council is already treating us poorly, Michelle. Maybe it is time they learned why that was a mistake. They walked into a huge room filled with machines that hummed with power. Scientists worked at stations developing weapons, ships, and systems that were far beyond anything the Council possessed. Show me the Quantum Drive Project, Dr. Stevens said. Dr. Torres led him to a corner where engineers were testing a small device. This single unit can move a battleship faster than anything in Council space. Our ships will be able to jump in and out of battles before the enemy can react. And the adaptive systems? Even better, Dr. Torres said. Our ships will learn during combat. They will adapt to enemy tactics in real time. No alien force has ever faced anything like this. Back on Earth, President Frank Murphy read the message from the Council for the third time. He could not believe what they were suggesting. His assistant, Secretary of Defense Lisa Morgan, stood nearby. Mr. President, are they really telling us to run away? That is exactly what they are saying, President Murphy replied. The Council suggests that humans should move to less strategic star systems. They want us to abandon our homes because they do not want to defend us. This is outrageous, Lisa said. We have treaty rights. The Council is supposed to protect all member species. President Murphy stood up and walked to the window. Earth looked peaceful from here, but he knew that hegemony fleets were moving closer to human space every day. The Council thinks we are. Not worth protecting, he said. Maybe it is time we showed them that we do not need their protection. In space near the border, Captain Jake Morrison's ship encountered 3 hegemony scout vessels. The aliens had come to study human defenses. Before the main attack, Lieutenant Sam Parker worked at the weapons station. Captain, should we call for Council support? The Council has made it clear they will not help us, Jake replied. We handle this ourselves. The hegemony ships were larger and looked more dangerous than the New Horizon. But Jake had learned not to judge by appearances. He ordered his crew to use tactics that no Council species would think of. Ryan, take us directly toward the largest ship, Jake ordered. Sir, they will think we are attacking, Commander Ryan Bell said. Good. Let them think that. The New Horizon flew straight at the hegemony flagship. The alien ship powered up its weapons, ready to destroy what looked like a suicidal human vessel. But at the last second, Jake ordered a hard turn that put his ship behind the enemy. Now, Lisa, send them a message, Jake said. Lisa Carter opened a channel to all 3 hegemony ships. This is Captain Morrison of the human vessel New Horizon. You are in neutral space without permission. Leave now or face the consequences. The hegemony commander laughed. One small human ship threatens 3 hegemony warships? You are either very brave or very stupid. Test me and find out, Jake replied. What happened next surprised everyone, including Jake's own crew. A human ship moved with speed and precision that shocked the aliens. Using moves that Council tacticians said were impossible, Jake disabled all 3 enemy ships without firing a single shot. He used the enemy ships' own weapons against each other. He made them crash into space debris. He overloaded their systems with false signals. In 10 minutes, 3 powerful warships were floating helpless in space. How did you do that? The hegemony commander asked over the radio. Human tactics. Jake said, something you will see a lot more of soon. Lieutenant Sam Parker looked amazed. Captain, should we destroy them? Jake thought about it. Destroying the ships would send a strong message, but it would also start a war before humanity was fully ready. No, let them go back to their fleet and tell them what happened here. Let them spread the word about what they saw. The hegemony. Ships limped away, their commanders stunned by what they had experienced. They had expected to study weak human defenses. Instead, they had been beaten by tactics they did not understand. Back at Luna Station, Admiral Ross received reports of the encounter. He smiled as he read Jake's description of the battle. General Hayes, Colonel Wright, look at this, he said. The other officers read the report. General Hayes whistled in appreciation. Captain Morrison just gave 3 hegemony ships a lesson in human creativity. This is what happens when we stop playing by Council rules, Colonel Wright said. Our people are naturally good at thinking of new solutions. Admiral Ross stood up. It is time for a secure call to the President. We need to discuss our options. 20 minutes later, President Murphy appeared on the screen from Earth. Dr. Stevens joined from Mars. Other key leaders connected from across human space. The situation is clear, Admiral Ross said. The hegemony is coming. The Council will not help us. We can either run away like they suggest, or we can remind the galaxy why humans became a spacefaring species in the first place. President Murphy nodded. What do you recommend, Admiral? I recommend we stop asking for permission and start taking action. Dr. Stevens, is Project Deep Well ready? Dr. Stevens smiled. We have been ready for 5 years. We were just waiting for the right moment. And our people? President Murphy asked. General Hayes answered. Our people are tired of being treated like children by aliens who need our help to solve their own problems. They are ready to show the galaxy what humans can really do. President Murphy was quiet for a long moment. This decision would change humanity's relationship with every species in the galaxy. There would be no going back. Very well, he said finally. If the Council wants to treat us as primitives, perhaps it is time we reminded them how dangerous primitives can be when they are pushed too far. Colonel Wright pulled up tactical displays. Sir, I recommend we prepare for full deployment. The hegemony will attack within weeks. When they do, they will expect to face standard Council technology ships and tactics. Instead, they will face something completely new, Dr. Stevens added. Human technology that has been developed in secret for 20 years. Admiral Ross looked around at the faces on his screens. These were good people who had spent their careers trying to work with the Galactic Council. But the Council had made it clear that cooperation was a one-way street. Begin immediate deployment of all deep well technologies, Admiral Ross ordered. Prepare our fleets for combat operations. And send a message to all human colonies. Help is coming, and it will be unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. As the meeting ended, each leader returned to their duties with new purpose. For 50 years, humans had tried to earn their place in the galaxy through patience and good behavior. That time was overdone. Now it is time to take their place through strength and determination. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the stars. The research vessel New Horizon had been his home for 3 years now. He was tired of being told no by aliens who thought they were better than humans. Carter walked up to him with a datapad in her hands. She was his diplomatic officer and one of the smartest people he knew. Her face showed anger and frustration. Another rejection, Captain, she said. The Council says we cannot mine in the Kepler sector. They used the same excuse as always. Jake took the datapad and read the message. The words were polite but cold. The Galactic Council had refused humanity's request for the 3rd time this year. They said humans were not advanced enough. They said humans were too unstable as a species. Who sent this message? Jake asked. Ambassador Zektar of the Vrex Empire, Lisa replied. The same lizard who has been blocking our requests for 5 years. Commander Ryan Bell walked over from his station. He was the ship's tactical officer and had been with Jake since the beginning. Ryan was angry too, but he tried to hide it better than Lisa. Captain, this is wrong, Ryan said. We helped them solve the nebula crisis last month. Our engineers fixed their power grid when their best scientists could not figure it out. And still they treat us like children. Jake nodded. He remembered the nebula crisis well. 3 star systems had lost power because of some energy problem. The aliens could not understand. Human engineers had looked at the problem for 2 days and found a simple solution. The Council had been grateful then, but that gratitude did not last long. Dr. Amanda Price came up from the lower deck. She was the ship's expert on alien life and had studied the Council species for years. She had a bitter smile on her face. I heard about the rejection, Amanda said. It is funny how they need our help when they have problems, but they think we are too primitive to be real partners. What do you mean? Jake asked. Amanda pulled up files on her tablet. In the last 2 years, humans have solved major problems. For the Council 3 times. The nebula crisis was just the latest. Before that, we helped the Kethrin fix their food shortage. And before that, we showed the Altarians how to stop their plague. But they still think we are not good enough. Lisa said, they think our solutions are too simple, Amanda explained. They believe that if something is not complex, it cannot be advanced. They cannot understand that sometimes the best answer is the easy answer. Jake's communication system beeped. It was an emergency call from Earth. Admiral Kevin Ross appeared. On the screen, He looked worried and tired. "Captain Morrison, we have a situation," the Admiral said. "The hegemony is moving ships near our space. They have 12 battle fleets heading toward our border systems." Jake felt his stomach drop. The hegemony was a group of hostile alien races that hated most other species. They had been quiet for years, but now they were moving again. "What does the Council say?" Jake asked. Admiral Ross shook his head. "We asked for help under our defense treaty. The Council said our territories are not important enough to defend. They suggested we use standard protocols to protect ourselves." "Standard protocols?" Ryan said. "Against 12 battle fleets?" "The Council does not care about human lives," Admiral Ross said. "They think we can handle this ourselves, or they think we are not worth saving." Jake felt anger building in his chest. Humans had joined the Galactic Council 50 years ago. They had followed all the rules. They had helped other species when asked. They had tried to be good partners. But the Council still treated them like second-class citizens. "Admiral, what are our orders?" Jake asked. "Keep doing your research mission for now," Admiral Ross said. "But be ready for anything. Things are about to change." The communication ended. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. These were good people who had dedicated their lives to serving humanity among the stars. They deserved better than being ignored and dismissed. Lisa broke the silence. "Captain, I have been reading Council records. I think I know why they keep rejecting us." "Tell me," Jake said. "They are afraid of us," Lisa said. "Not afraid of our weapons or our ships. They are afraid of how we think. We solve problems they cannot solve. We find new ways to do things. Some of the Council species have been the same for thousands of years. They do not like change." Amanda nodded. "Lisa is right. I have seen it in their behavior. When we suggest new ideas, they get uncomfortable. When we fix their problems, they act grateful but also worried." Ryan crossed his arms. "So they keep us weak on purpose." "They try to," Amanda said. "But they cannot stop us from learning and growing." Jake walked to the main window and looked out at space. Somewhere out there, the hegemony was preparing to attack human worlds. The Council that was supposed to protect humanity had basically told them to handle it alone. "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "maybe it is time we stopped asking for permission." Jake turned around. His crew was looking at him with determination in their eyes. These people had seen how the Council treated humans. They had watched alien species dismiss human achievements while benefiting from human help. "Admiral Ross said things are about to change," Jake said. "Maybe he is right. Maybe it is time the galaxy remembered what humans can do when we stop trying to please everyone else." Ryan smiled for the first time in weeks. "I like the sound of that, Captain." Amanda pulled up star charts on her screen. "The hegemony thinks they are attacking weak humans protected by an uncaring Council. They have no idea what they are really dealing with." Jake felt something shift inside him. For years, he had followed orders to be diplomatic and patient with the Council. He had watched his people be treated poorly while they helped ungrateful aliens. But now, with the hegemony threatening human worlds and the Council abandoning them, everything was different. "Set course for Earth," Jake ordered. "Maximum speed." "Yes, sir," his pilot replied. As the new horizon turned toward home, Jake thought about what was coming. The hegemony wanted to fight. The Council thought humans were weak and primitive. Both groups were about to learn how wrong they were. Humans had been polite and patient for 50 years. They had tried to earn respect through good behavior and helpful actions. But respect that had to be earned over and over again was not really respect at all. Maybe it was time to stop earning respect and start demanding it.